How's the Josh? Fantastic. And it has to be for a topic like this, the power of persistence. Yes or no? Let me tell you a little bit about my journey. I graduated with an MBA from the United States. I worked in New York after that. And when I was working in New York, I was sponsored by my company to attend the kind of programs that I now run: motivational sessions, training programs, soft skills. And I found them very, very useful. And I said, when I get back to India, I will set up an organization that delivers these programs to the Indian audience. So I came back all gung-ho, ready, and I went to corporates and I told them, you know what? We have a great time management program for your people. And I got answers like, Nikhil, we have no time for a time management program, right? And I went to many companies and I got similar answers. But I did not give up. I persisted. And what did I do? I said, if the corporate world is not ready right now, let me start with students. And more than 50,000 students I trained free in the first 3 years of my career all over the country. Today, I want to share with you the formula that has helped me become successful, and that is what I call an acronym for persist. I like acronyms because it helps us remember a little easier and faster. Persist stands for P for planning, E for effort, R for responsibility, S for self-discipline, I for improvement, S for strengths, and T for tenacity. Let me start with planning. I always say, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Remember the 5 Ps. Poor planning produces poor performance. So whenever you have a goal, you need to ensure that you have a plan of action. You need to ensure that you think of all the internal and external obstacles that might come in your way in achieving that goal. What are internal obstacles? Obstacles over which you have direct control. Whereas external obstacles are those over which you don't have any direct control. When you have brainstormed and thought of all these possible obstacles, you need to also think of solutions. And my friends, each solution should have an action step. You must have a target date by which you will take action so that that solution helps you remove the obstacle in your path to achieving your goals. Planning is the first and a very, very important step. E is effort. Very important. When I was in school, I wanted to stand for the house captaincy of my school. I submitted a form to the principal. A few days later, I got a shocker. You know what? I was told that I will have to deliver a speech in front of the entire school on election day. And I was not ready. I said, my God, I've never delivered a speech in my life. How am I going to deliver a speech in front of the entire school? I could not sleep that night. But when I got up in the morning, I got up with a resolve. And I enrolled in a course in public speaking. I failed in that course many times. I faltered, I made mistakes, I made errors. But at the end of that course, I developed the competence and the confidence to make a great speech. On election day, was elected the house captain, and at the end of the year, also won the Best House of the Year trophy. It was indeed a great achievement only because I persisted and did not give up. R is for responsibility. We have to be responsible to take action that is needed. I had applied for admission to the MBA university in the US. And unfortunately, Bombay University non-teaching staff
went on strike.
And as a result, my exam results were not declared. The papers had been corrected by the teaching staff, but the work that the non-teaching staff had to do was not complete. Now, I was really in a difficult situation. I had to submit that to the university. In those days, even getting foreign exchange was a challenge. And therefore, RBI was giving foreign exchange only to those who got a certain percentage of marks in their graduating exams. So I had to submit my mark sheet even to RBI and make an application there. Unfortunately, I could not do it. But I took on the responsibility. I said I will not give up. I knocked on many doors. And after that, I finally reached the office of the Vice Chancellor of Bombay University at that time. And I was able to convince him to send my results in sealed envelopes to the US university and also to RBI, on the basis of which I got my I-20 from the university, on the basis of which I got my RBI permit, took both those together to the US Embassy, got my visa, and I proceeded to take the first flight ever in my life. I'd never even taken a domestic flight before. That was only because normally people give up, but I did not give up and I persisted. S is self-discipline. When I went from India to the US, we had only one black and white channel. But in the US, there were 100+ color channels. It was very tempting to watch television. We used to get on every Sunday, we used to get the TV guide because there was no internet, no smartphones. So it was all printed. And on Sunday morning, before I opened the TV guide, I would actually prepare my entire plan for the next week. And then I would look at a couple of hours of slots that I had left and plug in some of the TV shows that I wanted to see, maximum 2.5 hours a week. And I believe that self-discipline helped me get the results that
I wanted
to get. I is for improvement.
I would like to share.
My health had taken one big beating unknowingly. I was walking up the steps when me and my family had gone to Kurg for a holiday, and on that resort, somewhere I was walking up and I shrieked out in pain. I did not know what that pain was about. At that time, we had only Indian Airlines, and my flight from Mangalore was booked 3 days later. I suffered in pain. Even the painkillers did not help me. And finally went and landed in Mumbai 3 days later, went straight to the hospital and got all the scans done. And I had a lumbar spondylosis that was causing so much pain. For 2 months, I was at home.
For 15 days, completely on bed rest.
Even to go to the bathroom 10 feet away from my bed, it used to take me the support of 2 people and 20 minutes to reach there. It was very painful. But I decided I don't want to be like this for the rest of my life. I slowly learned yoga. It was painful at that time to do the Bhujangasana and all the asanas. But I still managed. And a few months later, I was better. I actually enrolled in a 9-month diploma in yogic education just so that I get even more information on how I can cure myself for a lifetime. And thank God because of that, today I'm in front of you speaking and giving you this talk today. Let me give you one more example. And that was when the pandemic hit us. 19th March, our Prime Minister announced Janta curfew for 22nd March. On 21st March, I had announced a public program in Mumbai where various corporates had sent in their nominations. Now, with Janta curfew on the 22nd, it was impossible to even do the 21st. Again, I had sleepless nights. That night was very, very difficult and challenging because I'd never ever cancelled a program in my life so far. And I knew I would have to do it. There was no choice. But when I got up in the morning, I decided that I will not cancel the program. I will deliver that program online. I had never ever done an online program in my life. I did not know how that was going to be possible, but I learned it in 24 hours. And all those participants who were registered attended that program online. This is something because I was ready to improve myself in areas that I was not good at. S stands for strengths. It's very important to use your strengths and minimize your weaknesses. Polly Umrigar, India's cricket captain, picked about 60 youngsters from all over India to select 15 of them to ultimately be part of a cricket coaching series called Cricket with Polly Umrigar. This was shot at the Wankhede Stadium. And as a result, I decided that I am going to sharpen my strength. I was a good fielder. You know, many of my teammates used to say, if the ball goes to Nikhil, if it's a skyer also, the batsman has to walk back to the pavilion because Nikhil is not going to drop it. But I made it even, took that strength to the next level so that with my number 3 batting and with my strengths in fielding, I was shortlisted in that 15. And then every Sunday for 26 Sundays,
On black and white Doordarshan.
the series called Cricket with Polly Umrigar. I've had the pleasure of playing with many Test cricketers and Ranji Trophy players also. I've been a sportsman, and it has been only because I've persisted and made sure that I've made the right effort to do whatever it takes to achieve my goals in life. And finally, my friends, it's T for tenacity, determination, grit. When I used to announce these public programs in Mumbai many, many years ago, again, without soft copies being in fashion, people expected hard copies. We went through the grind of making 25,000
Hard copies.
every quarter and send them 25,000 HR heads by courier. And we used to get sometimes calls from people, and they would say they would like to send some nominations. They made all the inquiries. Often the nominations did not come. And in spite of that, I had told my team that we must make sure that we answer every query and inquiry in a manner that nobody will feel that we are not responding as well as we should, even if they don't send nominations. I know one particular company, 7 times, 7 quarters, for almost 2 years, they've kept calling and they kept calling, but took all the information from us and never sent one nomination. But finally, after that, when they did send 2 nominations to come, they became one of my major client. This is because of patience and persistence in whatever we were offering to them. My friends, when once I was in Bangalore and Mumbai had poured, we had a cloudburst in Mumbai. It was 26th July. On 30th July, we had announced a public program in Mumbai, and all the flights to Mumbai were cancelled. All Mumbai was flooded. And in spite of that, on 30th July, we were able to tell the hotel where we were doing our program to shift us to the highest conference room, the only one that was available, which was not drowned and flooded with water. We were able to communicate with all the participants. And at that time, we had 42 nominations. 40 people came to that program. People could not believe it when for the last 3-4 days, Mumbai was completely drowned. The power of tenacity, my friends. So I would only like to say it is persistence that has brought me from a time when nobody would also want to spend any time listening to what I had to offer to a time today when 250,000 participants from 42 countries, 2,000 organizations have attended and benefited from my programs. I also fly by helicopter in the oceans and run programs for some corporates. I also run motivational programs on the Royal Caribbean cruise from Singapore. And all this journey has been only possible and fueled by the power of persistence. Thank you very much, my friends. It was a pleasure to be with all of you, and I wish you good luck.